The Korean War revealed a reality that honestly most people overlook when they think about battlefield medicine. By the early 1950s, medical technology had advanced dramatically. Antibiotics were widely available, evacuation chains were faster than ever before, and field hospitals were more capable than in World War II. Yet soldiers continued to die from causes that had nothing to do with the sophistication of their care. The problem was timing. Frontline casualties often waited hours or even days before professional help could reach them, and in that gap, survival depended not on medical training or specialized equipment, but on improvisation. One of the most effective solutions came from an unexpected source, a simple medic hack developed during World War II that allowed soldiers to stabilize injuries and preserve life using materials they already carried. If you're interested in understanding these overlooked lessons in military medicine and survival, you might want to subscribe to Echoes of Valor because this channel is dedicated to examining history's quiet but essential truths. This World War II medic hack survives in relevance today because, well, it works where modern emergency kits sometimes fail. It is not glamorous, and honestly, it's rarely acknowledged in official manuals. Yet its effectiveness underlines a principle that every survivalist, prepper, and serious student of history should understand. Adaptability and presence can save lives when technology cannot. The Korean War exposed how fragile modern medical systems could be under stress. Military planners entering Korea assumed that advancements in battlefield medicine would prevent unnecessary deaths. Field hospitals were prepared, evacuation helicopters were being introduced, and supply chains were structured to deliver first aid kits efficiently. Yet the environment undermined all of these advantages. Mountainous terrain slowed transport. Harsh winters immobilized vehicles. Roads disappeared under snow or were targeted by enemy action. Even when aid stations were functioning, their reach was often just too far, and the time between injury and treatment became dangerously long. The result was a paradox. The military had better equipment and training than ever, but soldiers frequently faced a critical window in which professional care was simply inaccessible. This gap made improvisation not a convenience, but honestly, a necessity. The most important medical skill is knowing what to do before a doctor arrives. The World War II medic hack that soldiers brought into Korea was straightforward. It relied on immediate stabilization using materials at hand, combined with constant monitoring and practical prioritization. The goal was not to cure injuries, but to prevent deterioration. Soldiers learned that stopping bleeding, immobilizing limbs, maintaining warmth, and ensuring consciousness were more critical than any antiseptic or suture kit at that moment. These actions demanded judgment rather than technical skill. Soldiers had to assess the severity of injuries, determine which interventions could be safely applied, and constantly adjust as conditions changed. Doing something imperfectly but promptly proved far more effective than waiting for a perfect procedure that would come too late. First aid kits in World War II and Korea were designed around assumptions that rarely held under stress. They required intact packaging, complete supplies, and the ability of users to operate them correctly. Cold, wet, or chaotic conditions often rendered them unusable. Improvised methods, by contrast, depended on universally available materials. Clothing belts, webbing, and even rifles or personal gear could become tools for stabilization. This improvisation was not reckless. Soldiers discovered through trial and error which materials could function effectively. They learned to use the inner lining of a coat as a splint, turn a blanket into an effective tourniquet pad, or roll clothing to create pressure over wounds. These were not textbook solutions, yet they reliably stabilized casualties until professional care could be reached. One of the most overlooked lessons of Korea is that survival hinged on continuous human presence. Casualties left alone, even with supplies, deteriorated rapidly from shock, cold, or panic. Soldiers learned to stay with the injured, monitor their breathing and consciousness, and maintain warmth and calm until help arrived. Presence, vigilance, and adaptability were far more important than any kit or manual. This reality shaped military doctrine after the war. Programs for combat lifesavers which train non-medical personnel to perform basic, life-preserving actions emerged because experience had demonstrated the importance of human intervention prior to professional medical treatment. The principles behind the World War II, medic hack, rapid stabilization, improvised materials, and constant attention became formalized, even if the improvisation itself remained unsanctioned. Doctors could teach procedures, sterile technique, and triage protocols, but the instinct to act with limited resources under extreme stress had to be learned in the field. Soldiers developed an intuitive understanding of priorities, when to stabilize, when to move, and when to conserve energy. They learned that a casualty might survive without perfect care if basic functions, airway, circulation, temperature, were maintained. The Korean War reinforced this lesson, showing that battlefield medicine cannot be reduced to equipment checklists. Adaptation and judgment, honed under pressure, were often more decisive than the presence of a fully stocked kit. Cold and environmental factors can be as lethal as injuries. Hypothermia and shock were constant threats. A wounded soldier exposed to wind and snow could deteriorate faster than a soldier with untreated trauma in a warmer environment. Improvised techniques emphasized insulation, movement management, and shared body heat, as much as direct injury care. Stabilizing a casualty meant understanding the interaction between injury, environmental stress, and the human body's limits, a lesson that modern preppers frequently overlook when focusing solely on kits and tools. Improvisation shaped modern preparedness thinking. Many contemporary survivalist and prepper techniques echo the principles first applied on the Korean front: flexibility, reliance on available materials, and maintaining function under adverse conditions. While commercial first aid kits offer convenience, they cannot replace the judgment, adaptability, and continuous attention that soldiers learn to prioritize. These principles remain timeless because, honestly, they address the underlying problem of delay. When formal medical care just can't reach you right away, the psychological impact of immediate care was, well, profound. Providing immediate attention stabilized more than just the body. It calmed the mind, reduced panic, and reinforced a sense of control in a chaotic environment. Soldiers recognized that action itself, even if it wasn't perfect, could prevent despair and inattention, which, as we know, are often fatal in emergencies. Modern emergency kits are only part of the solution. Preparedness today often emphasizes gear, from tourniquets to automated defibrillators. These are useful, but Korea really demonstrates their limits. Supplies matter, but systems, training, and mindset matter more. Improvised adaptive care fills the gaps that equipment simply can't cover, especially under extreme conditions or when professional help is delayed. Understanding this distinction is essential for anyone who is serious about preparedness. It shifts the focus from just stockpiling tools to actually cultivating judgment, improvisation, and resilience, the very same qualities that saved lives on the Korean front. Remembering this history restores balance to how we understand war. Military history often privileges strategy, battles, and high-level decision-making. But survival on the battlefield is really sustained in countless small, often invisible acts of competence and improvisation. The World War II medic hack carried into Korea represents one of these acts. A simple, practical principle that saved lives repeatedly under harsh conditions. Acknowledging it restores a more complete understanding of warfare. It demonstrates that human judgment, adaptability, and immediate action can be decisive, sometimes even more so than technology or formal training. The World War II medic hack isn't some secret technique. It's a principle. It teaches us that equipment alone just can't guarantee survival. Time, presence, improvisation, and judgment often determine outcomes when theory and tools fail. Recognizing this doesn't diminish the importance of first aid kits. It actually complements it, providing a more realistic framework for survival. Remembering these overlooked lessons honors those who preserved life quietly, without recognition or ceremony. It also reminds us that resilience and preparedness depend on more than stockpiles. They really depend on human skill applied under pressure. If you value careful, in-depth historical analysis that goes beyond conventional narratives, subscribe to Echoes of Valor and share this video with others who want to understand the past and the practical lessons it carries for survival today.